fuck yes.
Yeah.
Nope, that was the old one. With great power comes great responsibility. Welcome to After the Hype. That's somewhat related to what we're talking about today, in a way. I'm going to leave all three of those in, by the way.
That'll be great for SEO.
Yeah. Which show are you listening to? Venture Brothers, an old episode of After the Hype, or a current episode of After the Hype? We're doing great. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty and Miss CHEWIE Darso, or Mrs. CHEWIE Darso. Why did I say Miss?
I don't know, just call me CHEWIE.
Miss. Yes?
MERS.
MERS?
I never understood that one where it's MRS, right?
It's an abbreviation.
Of what?
Mrs.
No, Mrs.
Miss was all the single ladies, but Miss is MERS.
Yeah, MERS. MERS.
It's so stupid.
It's a weird language thing.
It's just more sexism.
All of this is coming
Because
right
you're
out.
Mr. no matter what.
Hell yeah, I am.
Single, polyamorous, married, whatever.
I'm only one
you're
of
a
those.
Mr. Yeah.
True.
And women's like, was she a Mrs.? Is she a Miss? Is she a blur? A blur? A blur? Blur? Blur?
So this week we're talking about Brightburn.
As if you couldn't tell.
The only reason I'm leaving all of this in, even though I just said it's all coming out, is because I'm not sure how much we're going to have to talk about this movie, because this movie is 1 inch deep, is all I'm going to say. We'll get there eventually. There's not a lot to talk about in this movie, and I thought there'd be a lot, which is why I put it on the calendar, but here we are.
There would be a lot to talk about if we weren't so familiar with Superman.
Maybe. We'll start there when we get
Or hadn't just
past,
seen The Boys on Amazon Prime.
which I haven't, so
Yeah,
at
we
least we're
haven't.
there. So if you mention anything about The Boys, spoiler-wise, I will end you somehow. Because I do still want to watch that show. But speaking of shows you want to watch, let's talk about where have you been doing. And I can go first, because I've been watching the greatest show known to man called American Ninja Warrior. It is definitely one of my guiltiest of guilty pleasures. I don't usually talk very openly about me watching it, because it is slightly
I
embarrassing.
talk openly about you watching it at work.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I've been watching it pretty religiously now for about 5 years, and off
Oh
and
my
on
goodness.
all the years before that.
It's like you're admitting something to me. It just
Yeah,
5 years.
I
thought I knew you.
I'm definitely a closeted, huge American Ninja Warrior fan. I can't help it.
You're
it's a
not
great
very
show.
closeted.
I'm not talking about it on the podcast. That's about as closeted as I can get about it. But either way, it's a great show. It's super entertaining. And this year somebody actually won it. And they won it all, and it hasn't happened in 5 years, so it's a big deal. And I'm really excited the guy won it, and it was really cool because he just basically kills himself every year to win, so it's great. He kind of looks like a bit of a douchebag most of the time, so I'm not like between the two guys who could have won, I wanted the other guy to win, but still good for Drew, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, every moment of his life is spent to win this, and he did it. So that's great. I really hope that now you can spend time with, your family and your soon-to-be-born son and that sort of stuff, and stop just being you.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, because you
man.
earned this.
So you're saying no one has won?
Only 2 people have won in the 11 years it's been on.
Wow. And so for the length of our podcast, no one has really won except for now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's
amazing.
a big deal. It's a big deal.
I'd like to think you had something to do with it.
I like to think I did too, although I was rooting against him, so what does that say? Either way, I thought it was a lot of fun, and if you've never watched the show, you probably know what it is, and if you don't think you'll like it, you're probably right. If you're like, I could be into that, give it a shot. I think it's just a ton of fun, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something about it just gets me, man. And it was cool seeing Drew Dreshel win it all. So good job, Drew, and better luck next year, Daniel Gill, because, you almost got there. Missed it by that much. John, what about you?
Yeah, so I've been reading audiobooks as I do on my commute every day, and the next book in my list was Amy Poehler's Yes Please, which was available when my other books were not, and I had to wait a few weeks. And I enjoyed it. It's a non-linear memoir that is pretty funny and details a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with SNL and Parks and Recreation, and had a lot of fun anecdotes. And also did this thing that was kind of a hybrid between podcast and audiobook, where there were some extra segments in between the chapters where people from SNL would show up, or Patrick Stewart would show up, or other people, like other famous people would show up.
That's
And it was
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting fusion of the audiobook idea, and I kind of like that aspect of it.
And I always like it because she reads her own stuff, and she's so fucking good at that.
And yeah, she is hilarious.
Yeah, and it's always kind of nice seeing Amy Poehler not as... I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Parks and Rec, at least the majority of it. But it's kind of nice seeing Amy Poehler be Amy Poehler and not Leslie Knope, because they're very different people. And I think people don't realize
Amy
that.
Poehler is...
She's filthy.
Matter.
Oh, yeah,
She's
no.
filthy.
Filthy and matter.
She is pretty filthy, and the book does go into that. And you're like, oh, damn. If all you know is Leslie Knope, you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah, and there's actually a section in the book where she has the creator of Parks and Rec come in, and they banter about the show and how just they were just nose to the grindstone the whole time because they were never sure if they were going to make it. And it was kind of neat to see that behind the scenes look.
Yeah. Chewie, what about you?
I recently trudged through Downsizing, brought to you from the director of Nebraska and
Sideways.
I was thinking wine movie.
Yeah.
2 better movies.
Give your one-line review. Your one-line review is so brutal.
Downsizing is a movie that has a lot to say and says nothing.
It's so mean.
Damn. That's harsh.
But says none of it. I think is what I said. I don't know.
It's you got there.
But it's just
Send
like,
points across.
My God, man. I looked this thing up after watching it and went, you spent 2.5 years writing the script? And all we got was Matt Damon getting betrayed by his wife, I guess, becoming a little person, being disgruntled, meeting an Asian lady, missing a leg, getting less disgruntled, going a little crazy, thinking about going into a vault with a bunch of other kind of crazy people and die down there eventually. And then later on decides, no, I won't do that. I'm going to go give food to people. And it's just...
You just took me on a journey that I was not expecting.
Yeah.
It's so, like, one person I read in the Wikipedia page described it as a white liberal guilt movie.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I can see it. And it's totally like, yeah, white people feel like they have it hard, but they don't really have it that hard.
I mean...
and all these other people have it harder. And you get to live over here while they live over there, and you should feel bad, and you should bring them food.
Do you have something else you want to say about it, or should we move on to Brightburn?
Not really. There's not much to say. It's just such a slug.
Are you talking about your movie or Brightburn?
Oh, my movie.
Oh, good segue. Good segue.
Brightburn, I will watch again, definitely, over watching Downsizing again.
I only watched about 5 minutes of Downsizing with you, and I would agree with that sentiment. I had to stay home from work sick today, and I almost rewatched Brightburn again today, just to go, did I miss something?
No.
No, I don't think I did.
No, Brightburn,
Do you want to actually, you haven't done one of these in a while, do you want to give us a really quick summary, like as fast as you can?
Okay, Brightburn. A great exercise in fan fiction where you take the what if of Superman being evil.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. But like when people make comments of like, well, that was just fan fiction, which they like to do these days when they want to put something down.
Yeah.
I would say that about this movie. I won't do it in a negative way, but it's definitely Superman fan fiction.
My biggest thing is and we're going to get way more into this, don't worry. I mean, this probably won't be our longest episode, but just for like a quick hot takes around the table, so to speak, my thing wasn't really that I had a problem with that. It's just that I thought they took a 25-minute short film and stretched it out to an hour and a half of Like, this was a great idea for a very short internet phenomenal thing that's like, oh, we want a whole feature of this, and you'd go, I don't think there's enough there.
Well, they JJ'd it.
Yeah, and we got the I don't think there's enough there version.
Yeah. It's true, but they JJ'd it to put filler in.
Yeah, totally.
They're like, okay, so we're going to add this, and he's going to have these pictures of women's insides.
For
and
reasons.
He's going to kind of have a thing for this girl
for reasons.
and
He's going to try to break into a mystery box.
We're not
for
going to
reasons.
really delve into any of that, but it's going to happen, and maybe we'll explain it. Never.
Yeah, probably not. John, what did you think? What was your kind of hot take?
I enjoyed the gross horror, violent elements of it, just from a sense of a horror film sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't like any of the Superman parts of it or the superhero parts of it.
Huh.
And I found it just too slight to be of any interest other than just the horror film elements of it.
I think by the end of what both you and Chewie just said, I think I'm kind of in the middle of, like, I love the Superman stuff, but I love Superman, so that kind of makes sense. And I like the horror stuff because I like horror. I wish the movie did something. Like, it's so weird that a movie like that has this good of an idea is just so not fleshed out. And especially because, I mean, they just slapped James Gunn's name on this thing as many times as they could because he was, I think his brother or cousin or somebody wrote it. Somebody with the last name Gunn wrote it. So I get
some hired guns.
Yeah. So I get why he's attached, but at the same time, like, I expected it to.
It was written by two Guns.
Two Guns.
Bryan Gunn and Mark Gunn.
So who
Guess
knows?
he brought both guns to the gun show.
Oh, John. Too much.
That one.
This movie deserves this.
But that's the thing is, like, I don't think anything in the movie is bad, and that's kind of
right.
It's all done fine.
Yeah,
right?
no.
No, there's nothing really bad about this movie, except for the mom's art.
Oh yeah, she's terrible.
She probably tries to sell those on Etsy, and she maybe overprices them.
Elizabeth Banks' art in this thing, if you didn't notice while watching it, merits a rewatch all of its own.
It's all over the house.
It's everywhere, and it's terrible. Especially the cow with just a splash of blue paint on its head.
I did like the crow head one. That was the only one I liked.
I don't remember the crow head one. I'll have to look it up.
See, now that stuff was kind of interesting and specific in a way that this movie really wasn't. About all, like, the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And I liked that it was doing something. Like, her art was kind of silly and specific, and I thought that was kind of nice. But I agree. The art was kind of like, it's not good.
No, it's all
by any
bad.
stretch.
I don't think it was supposed to be very good art. It's definitely.
Well, I don't know because they don't ever talk about it.
They show her doing it.
They show her doing it, but it's not like, how do you make money? Well, I'm a professional artist. People buy my art.
No, she's not.
They don't do any of that. Like
they also have a lot of land and they're farming, but what are they farming? Like, there's all this setting, but no explanation. And by the end of the movie, you're asking those questions because nothing in the movie was compelling enough to distract from it.
They JJ'd it. They added all this stuff in, but none of it's fleshed out.
But that's the thing. Like with JJ, he'll at least give it a line of dialogue to give it something
significant,
just to flesh out the world a little bit. This world is so, like, claustrophobic. Like, it's just like this weird self-contained of, it feels like there's maybe 15 people in the town and the kid's gonna kill the majority of them.
Right. So then at the very end, when he finally goes out and takes the world, it's like, what are you taking, a neighborhood? Like, that's how big this world is?
I don't think he even takes the world. He still stays incognito.
Yeah. So let's just let's start moving through this thing a little bit. And I want to start with the similarities to Superman. As Chewie said in the beginning maybe part of the reason we didn't enjoy it so much is because we're so familiar with Superman. Chewie worked on Man of Steel, so she's very familiar with it. I've been reading these... And comics, of course. But, I mean, like, you had to research for the character, right?
Not really.
No, I thought you did. But either way, like we're very familiar with the character, so we know the backstory. We know the Kents, the farm, Smallville, all of that. So none of that's, like, a surprise. And it's more of, like, you're just kind of watching the Funhouse mirror version of what if when Superman realized he had powers, he wanted to destroy the planet instead of save the planet.
Right. But then because we know all this Superman stuff, there's also the whole reason behind the Kents, the nature versus nurture, the whole, like, if the Kents didn't exist, would he be evil? Maybe not. You know, like, all those questions that you could play with to do something like a Brightburn. This movie doesn't care because it's more interested in just the spectacle versus any sort of theme or message, which Superman begs for, like, that sort of thing. Like, if
that's
you're
all Superman does is themes and messages. Like, that's
right.
That's his bread and butter.
Right. So if you're going to invert it or try to challenge that, like, that's going to take some work. And this movie decided early and expresses itself that it's not interested in that, I feel like
they tried at one point. When Elizabeth Banks like, we have to be better than my parents. We can never give up on him.
Oh, yeah. They have those moments of don't ever give up. But then the very first moment of legitimate resistance, not just other people saying something, when she finds the one piece of evidence, it's a very damning piece of evidence, but still, one thing of evidence that he's evil, she decides to kill him. She turns on him on a dime.
Well, at that point, she finds the thing. She finds out that he killed Noah, and then she finds out that he killed his dad. So,
well, at that point, but still, from the second she's calling the dad, saying, "You're right, he did it, he's evil." Like, she is in hook, line, and sinker the second it's turned. She doesn't even try to be better than her parents. And the thing is, the fucking kid gives her an out. Like, you don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but I kind of thought he was.
Well, that's the thing, and I felt like the way the movie set it up, each parent had the chance, had one choice to make, and the choices that they made were the crux of this. So, like, both of them trying to decide to kill him was what took him all the way. That's what I read from the movie. But, like, she turned so fast that...
Yeah. The dad turning made more sense. Like, I thought that one actually kind of tracked a little bit.
Yeah, that one tracked a bit more and was a little bit more fraught. And I was like, okay, cool. Will he change his mind? Will something go wrong? But then the mother's turned so quickly after her whole movie's length of just...
you guys are. I'm not getting that.
What aren't you getting?
Her turning on a dime. Like, she calls her husband out of panic. She's not saying, let's kill him in that message. She's saying,
well, I guess that's true.
He did it. Oh my God, he did it. That's what she's saying. And then she finds out that she's not talking to her husband. She's talking to Brandon. And then she's scared. And then he just starts terrorizing her and splatters the sheriff all over the lawn in front of her. And then murders a woman in front of her. So...
I guess
if she had a moment to possibly be like, maybe we could stop this, she never got the chance.
Well, he does give her that moment, though, and that's when she tries to kill him.
Well, that's after all of this stuff happened.
That's fair. No, I guess that's true. I just, it just felt really, I think because of the runtime and everything just feels like it happens really fast. And the fact that she had been such a champion of don't ever turn on him, don't ever turn on him, don't ever turn on him. And the climax happens in all of 5 minutes of screen time. Everything you're saying is true, but just according to my watch, it happened in an instant. So it's
I think that's more accurate. It's more like it feels quick, just because we get into the horror film aspect of it. Like,
I think what you're
revs
saying
up
is
to
right.
60.
I think it was a pacing issue. Just it could have used a moment to breathe, maybe, and I wouldn't have felt that way.
Maybe. I mean, it made sense to me
because
the climax.
Sure. How much of it also is the fact that we know this kid's going to turn evil in the end. We know how this movie is going to turn. We know how it's going to go, and there's no way that there's no way this movie was going to set him up to be defeated. That they were going to survive, just given the nature of how the horror thing it was doing. Like, that we were just kind of anxiously tapping our toes, waiting for it, you know?
See, I kind of actually thought for a moment she was going to kill him. I thought they actually had me for a moment of, no, this is the plan and it will work, because that's why they did the foreshadowing of what's the only thing that can hurt him. Oh, the metal from his planet. So I thought, because this movie is so heavy on the foreshadowing.
There's so much foreshadowing.
Like, it's bananas. Every single thing gets called back at one point or another. It's just kind of crazy. So I figured, oh, that's where this is going. And it's like, oh, no, it's just her plan. He's going to win. Because, of course, Superman would win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's things of it, like, it's such a weird movie, because I just want to rip it to shreds, but it didn't really do anything wrong. It just didn't really try that hard.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean. Of it being fan fiction, it's usually a knee-jerk thing for me where I don't like that critique.
Yeah.
I don't like it, usually. And with this, it's an accurate critique because they don't really do anything new. They don't build off Superman at all.
No.
They just take every, little note. Like, even on the Wikipedia again, when I was looking at it, it said... It takes all of the origins of Superman and it flips it. And it's like bullet points where you have the Kents, you have Lana, you have the school.
Oh, that girl was supposed to be Lana?
I assume.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like one girl that he's apparently attracted to, and she stood up for him at one point. But then he starts creeping on her, and then she has a natural response to that.
And then he crushes her hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they just take every little thing from the original Superman lore and twist it. I mean, so it's not deep.
No.
Yeah.
It's very basic. And they just polished it. They had a good budget. They had a good cast.
Clearly, yeah.
For me, the weakest thing in this movie is the production design.
Yeah.
Because, I could never really figure out what was going on in their house. In some rooms, you had very busy floral wallpaper, and then other rooms, it's all yellow and blue, and then in another room, it's just blue. And it felt like it was all the same room at different times, but definitely different. I don't know, it bothered me the whole film. There's no consistency.
For sure. I did
feel like there was a solid vision with the production design of this movie.
I did want to backtrack. I did want to backtrack quick just to the whole fan fiction point, because even with fan fiction, you can get a sense of the author's point of view, their idea of what the thing should be about, like the whole Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey thing. Like, as a fan fiction thing, it's revealing of the author and revealing of how people approach work and iterative things that even this movie isn't doing with the Superman mythos.
No, because they even did his blanket of it being his costume. They really just bullet points.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have that feeling of this would be a great short film. Like, if this was like a 25-minute, 30-minute thing and they released it on the internet, people would have gone nuts begging for the movie that we just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have shared it. I would have shared it being like, this is so cool.
With kind of like 9.
Well, that's what this kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, it's a better version of, like, say, 9 or the Mortal Kombat Legacy web series that came out of another short. Like, it's cool when that happens, but this one, it is just so the sum of its log line. Like, it's just, this is what the movie's going to be. It's like, oh, I wonder what else it's going to be, which is the normal reaction to most movies. It's like, I know in 2 weeks I'm excited about seeing The Joker. I'm going to go see the movie. It's going to be a movie about a guy turning into the Joker. But what else is it going to be? I don't know. I'm excited to see it.
Is it going to have any social commentary?
Will it have this?
Is it going to have any ethos?
Well, and that's
we'll
the
have
thing.
Characters I don't know. Will it have this? And this movie's like, what if Superman came here and was evil?
Right.
And that's it.
It's not even that he's evil. It's that, like, in Superman, when he finds out that he is from another world, that he's Kryptonian, doesn't his father, if I'm correct here, kind of tell him, they won't understand you, but try to be their champion or something like that? I don't know. Like, you're going to be different, but try to be the best person you can be. Like, there's some message from his
back to
father.
the Spider-Man saying that I opened the show with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, his father gave him some sort of speech like that in his hollow spaceship.
And
in this one, all you get is him chanting. And
a language that we don't know. Yeah.
A language we don't know to take over the world. And there's no, like... You have the speech about the wasps, about being very aggressive and sending their young to be cared for by somebody else and then creating drones and all this stuff. And I thought that was going to come back in some way of, like, learning about maybe what planet he came from. What is the purpose of what he's going to be doing? Yeah,
because even, like, the BB kind of looks like wings sort of thing.
Yeah,
so, like, maybe they're alerting to the wasp thing. Like,
yeah.
But then you find out that it's just, that's just cool. That's just
it doesn't
shining a light on how evil he's going to be.
They don't build on it at all.
And that's what I kept waiting for. Like, the other shoe to drop was he's a bug species from space, and his parents are gonna come pick him up, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, did you destroy the planet like we told you to?" And he's like, "Nah, I kind of left my parents." Like, well, go kill your parents, and we'll go off to space. Like, I expected something lunatic like that.
And they had that whole thing with the the porn under his bed that devolved into pictures of the insides of women's reproductive organs. And then you end the movie with a woman flayed and her guts pulled out in her reproductive area in front of his ship.
Yeah, the quote-unquote Lana's mom was...
What was that?
No idea.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, that imagery and that whole, like, violence against women thing with something so... like slight as this movie is, it's almost kind of irresponsible. Because, like, in the age that we're in today, like,
it's
with
only
the
irresponsible because it means nothing.
Yeah.
it means nothing. It's saying nothing, but it's evoking that imagery of an angry young man and just playing in that area while not wanting to say anything about it, which then is just like, okay, so then you're just exploiting that. You're exploiting the violence against women in this instead of making a commentary, speaking to it, speaking against it, or saying something. And it's just, especially like today, during those scenes, it was just so icky. For lack of a better word.
I had a much bigger problem with the dad speech he gives him about masturbating, because the phrasing on that thing was rough.
It was really rough, and it was definitely they purposely worded it so he could take it the wrong way.
Yeah, like that's the goal, was so he'd take it the wrong way. But like what he was trying to say is, hey, dude, you're 12 years old. You're gonna want to jack off a lot.
Yeah.
Just try not to rip it off. Like, that's what he was trying to say. Like, you know,
what was his exact quote? Be like, sometimes
you will have some urges, and it's okay to give in to them every now and then. But he had they'd kind of changed topics to talking about girls there.
Yeah, to talk about actual sex.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa.
Now you're kind of giving...
Clarify masturbation, because you're kind of telling your son it's okay to rape women.
Yeah.
It's like, and I know the whole point of the scene was that he had misinterpreted and think that his dad is giving the green light to go murder people. Like, that's kind of the idea. But just as a filmmaker perspective, that scene needed a rewrite.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I'm talking about, like, the irresponsibility of it, just because it's like, you have to know what you're writing there, like how that's going to come across on screen, how we're going to perceive it. Like, even just the most casual viewer is going to be like, what, so he can just go assault women, rape them? Like, what's the message here? And it feels so very written that
don't think they
you
had a
feel
message.
icky.
No.
I think they just were going for easy.
Yeah, I would put that sequence on the same level I do with the, like, Avengers Age of Ultron monster sequence of, like, ooh, I know what you're trying to say. You didn't say that.
No.
Like,
yeah.
I know your message. I'm not passing judgment on that. I'm saying that the execution was bad. Just bad. But that's the thing, like, with Brightburn is, like, when the movie does work, though, like, say for my favorite sequence in the movie, just because I love horror movies and I love Superman, it's got to be, what's his name? Matt Badger from Breaking Bad. I always forget his actual name.
Noah in the movie.
Matt something in real life.
I don't know.
He's a great fucking actor, and he gets really hindered because his voice is just his voice, and there's only so much you can put that voice in. But I love it when he shows up, and I thought his, like, horror sequence was just perfect. Of, like, what if Superman wanted to kill people and enjoyed it?
I just love his little moment. No.
See, those were bright spots for me in this movie.
Yeah, they're so
that
good.
burned the brightest.
I was also like, wait, is he trying to protect his wife, or is he just running away from his sleeping wife in a violent situation?
Oh yeah, this movie kind of has some, like, big glaring spots with treatment of women, and it's like, come on.
Instead of going, honey, there's a problem, he just runs away.
Oh yeah, and it's not even just, like, runs away, like, in a panic, like the Brightburn kid's about to, like, rip his head off. It's like, oh no, that kid's messed up. I'm gonna get in my car and drive away.
He doesn't know where he is right now.
Yeah, he doesn't know where
he could be back in the house trying to get your wife.
He's just fucking leaving. It's like, but thankfully he did, though, because of that, his wife's the only person who lives for now. Yeah. I guarantee she's dead by now.
Probably.
I mean, he's leaving no witnesses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the other thing that comes out of those sequences that I really like is that through line that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with the don't tell my mom and dad. Like, there were moments of character development here that I just wish they'd actually focused on, because it would have given me something to grasp and then just fully love this movie. But that whole, like, I'm going to murder everyone because it's what I'm supposed to do, but I still love my mom and dad, and I need them. So don't out me to my parents. And I loved that through line, and I just wish they'd done something with it.
Yeah, just even that little morsel of something would have connected us deeper to that, and man, made some dramatic stakes at the end.
Yeah, like Like, just something along the lines of, like, maybe the parents are a little poor and they have somebody coming to take the house, something like that. And he goes, like, you don't fuck with my parents. And he goes and kills that guy. Like, just something to show that he actually cared about his parents and not just about their opinion.
Well, because then their deaths at the end hit you even harder, because for all this protection he's trying to do for his parents, he's the instrument of their demise.
Yeah, and it feels more like he's just going, like, oh, that was an oversight. They don't like me. I'll just kill them then. Like, it doesn't really feel like trauma, and I feel like it should, but because the kid gets brainwashed, this time actually in an instant, I think you'd agree with me on that one. No?
I mean, there's some steps. They're vague in this movie, where he has his little seizure and he does his little sleepwalking and trying to get into the thing.
I would say from the moment he's levitated above, he's in.
When did he levitate up? Oh. Well, that's when he...
That's when she gives him the speech about who you are, too. So,
but that's immediately, like, where he gets his most angsty of, you lied to me, you lied to me. And then he starts to feel special.
Yeah. So, from that moment on, he's gone. But I think even before that, as soon as, like, the rock glows wet, or the ship glows, and he starts, like, doing the chant thing and starts getting the evil thoughts.
He's definitely being brainwashed.
You never have the whole, like, I don't want this. Like, you never have, like, the conflict, the inner turmoil, anything of, like, who am I? Like, what is this supposed to be? Like, you just get the one scene of, like, wait, who am I? Like, oh, you're a space thing. Oh, okay. Well, that means I'm better than you. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah, like, there's no conflict in this movie. That's what...
Yeah.
They set it up as being a possibility.
Yeah.
But they don't flesh any of it out.
No. And it's just kind of frustrating. Like, that just kind of leaves you with this thing of, like, this movie could have been amazing.
Yeah.
I think the idea is still amazing, and I think the cast was good. All of it worked. I just wish they'd done something with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
right, and it's a cool idea on the surface.
Yeah. The idea is great. I even think the character design, like the character design of, like, are we calling him Brightburn? Is that what he's going by? He does do the BB and everything.
They end up calling him Brightburn in the end when they're doing the video thing.
Sure, so Brightburn. But even, like, his design, like, the kind of, like, it almost looks like an Ood mask.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Like, but it's creepy.
Right.
Like, Oods always creep me out. Like, they're creepy looking things.
Well, it has some
nice.
interesting, it evokes a sense of the sackcloth mask for Jason, right?
Actually, I would go more for Cthulhu if I was going to go for
Oh, sure, yeah. Little Cthulhu, little potato sack Jason. I'll always throw in a Jason Voorhees whenever I can. But yeah, it's all kind of there. It just,
Yeah. And it's striking. Like, when you look at the poster for this, everything, like, his design, his final form is striking and interesting, and you're just like, ooh. Like, I mean, that, at the end of the day, that's kind of what drew us in, is the premise, the basic idea, and the imagery that they were promising.
Yeah, it feels like a movie that has James Gunn's name all over it. Should have let him at least touch the steering wheel a little bit.
He gave money.
Yeah.
He probably proofread his brother's script.
Yeah, if they are brothers, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah.
It is interesting just to see what essential element he could have provided, because I think he could have been a little bit more playful, James Gunn.
Yeah.
With this, and in turn would have brought something a little bit meatier to it, maybe.
Yeah, it'd have been nice to give him, get something from James Gunn other than Michael Rooker in the credits. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Michael Rooker. And it's cool seeing him pop up as an angry internet person, but that's the only thing that felt James Gunn to me.
Yeah, even that's undercut, because everything that the InfoWars type character that he's playing is saying is true. So it's like this weird, like, they just didn't think. Yeah,
it's like they're trying to say this is how he gets away with it because the only people believing it are the crazy people. But it's like,
that doesn't work when he's actually destroying and murdering
exactly.
people.
It's like, but the crazy people are like, the Illuminati are coming for us. The world is flat. Like, they're crazy people with absolutely no evidence to back them up. There's a shitload of evidence with the building that fell over and the cell phone footage of the dude flying around the building. Like, there's so much evidence out there that the InfoWars thing doesn't matter or doesn't work, but I'm willing to give it that rope because it was actually trying to have fun for just a minute, which I think this movie could have used a hell of a lot more of, because what they're doing is fun. Like, what if Superman is evil is a fun concept, like, that we've all kind of thought about. Like, oh yeah, he'd rule the world in a day.
Very easy for him to be evil.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's no other Justice League around, very easy.
Right. Well, and also, like, if they could have played so much with the what a mother was willing to do to love her son. And imagine the ending where Elizabeth Banks is just like his manager, like she's trying to keep up with him because she still loves him. And it's like, I don't like what you're doing to humanity, but I love you. Like what a twisted ending that could have been.
Chewie and I joked about that after, like, what if Corrin ended up being a super evil alien from space? I'm like, I'm his number one henchman. I'm his 21. Right. We're good to go, man.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But like when you watch something like that James Gunn has done, like Slither, taking the concept of what if space slugs and just how much fun he has with that, you're like, where is that fun inventiveness outside of, oh man, his jaw is on the floor because special effects.
Because it's just not as strong of a director. Like I'm not very familiar with David Yarovesky.
I looked him up. I haven't seen anything else.
It's like he's done video shorts and
he's worked with
stuff.
James Gunn a lot.
Yeah, they're friends. That's obvious. But
Yeah.
everything on his IMDb as a director is a video short and a couple episodes of Team Unicorn.
Yeah, it really feels like one of those, like almost like Chronicle of like a first-time-ish director getting a shitload of money.
Yeah, and he looks like a fun guy, and he looks like someone who would have leaned more into the cultness of it.
Yeah.
But he leaned full into the drama instead of putting anything fun.
And you just said cult. Why wasn't
Not
that?
cult.
No. I like that though. Like, there's a sequel right
Camp.
there.
I meant Camp. I should say that he did direct one other feature, The Hive, in 2014.
That's
he didn't just do video shorts.
No, he'd done a little here and there, just not. This was his first major release, and it did okay.
Yeah.
The reviews were okay. It made some money. I know a lot of people saw it, and they're all like, everyone just kind of said the same thing. Way more violent than I thought it'd be. So that's kind of what I went into, expecting a full-blown gory slasher, and that's really what I got. The gore was good.
Yeah,
it was offensive. It was creepy. It was gooey.
The scene where the waitress mom, is pulling out the glass from her eye.
I looked away. Like, it
That was
legitimately
great.
got me.
Yeah.
It was well done.
And then I liked the sequence of seeing things from her perspective.
Oh, yeah.
With half of it being bloodied out. Like,
Yeah.
that was cool. I liked
Yeah.
that idea.
That was cool and really inventive, and it's where I was like latching onto my hopes for the movie because it was like, ooh, this is really cool and inventive and really fun. Like, the horror elements, the gross elements were really fun.
Yeah. So I think the theme of the day is disappointment.
Yeah, it just needed to be fleshed out better.
Yeah. All right, we're going to start moving to the end of this thing. I want to start with a segment we don't always do, but we will this time. Do we recommend it? Yes or no? I'll go first, and I would say I absolutely do recommend it if you like Superman and you do like horror movies. I just really wouldn't get your hopes up.
Yeah, I recommend it as a fun movie.
Yeah, like something to watch with friends and just go,
Yeah.
oh shit, Badger just got a steering wheel through his face.
Yeah, but if I'm like, are you in the mood for a scary movie tonight? No, I wouldn't recommend this.
Do you think this has anything to say about the culture of superheroes and Superman?
No.
No. It has nothing to say.
No, it doesn't really have there's no voice to it,
No,
really.
this isn't a go to the movies and then go out for coffee afterwards and discuss what you just saw.
No, this is a fun
Yeah.
little movie.
Yeah, this is I barely had time to finish my popcorn, but it was fun.
Yeah.
John, what about you?
Yeah, I'd recommend it to people with the similar caveat that don't expect anything going in, and it's going to be a fun late night, 1 a.m. You're just trolling the streaming services for something that's gross, violent, and has the inkling of an idea. And, this will deliver on those basic fronts.
And the best thing about it is that if you get bored and want to turn it off, you're not missing much.
You pretty much already put it in your brain of what the rest of the film's going to be.
Yeah. If you watch the first 5 minutes, you know the rest because they map the whole fucking thing out.
I think the most shocking moment for me in the whole film was when the dad shot him in the back of the head and you saw his hair move a little bit. Because that is just something I've never seen in a movie before.
Oh, just the thump.
A dad actually shooting his kid in the head. I mean, you would get a lot of turnaways or anything like that. Like, fade to black, hear a bang type of thing for those type of scenes. No, they did the whole thing.
Well, yeah, because
right.
he didn't actually do anything.
Yeah, but they
He
still
mildly annoyed him.
they still did it,
And then
which I've never seen before.
And then he got fully Shazammed from Injustice.
He did.
Yeah, do you remember that time when Superman did the exact same thing to Shazam in the Injustice video game? Superman Evil is really interesting.
Yeah, you can go interesting places with it.
Except that time, Superman killed a boy, and this time, boy Superman killed a man. So, quotes is going to be tough, because I did not write one down, because I didn't think the movie was excessively quotable, but I do have one. Do you guys both have one?
Yes, I've got one.
Okay, mine is, it's pretty simple, and for some reason, I like the delivery of it, because I think the kid, we didn't really talk about any of the performances that much, but I think the kid does a really good job playing alien and being just strange and out of this world and creepy. But when he's doing his chant, and then you finally get the end of the chant of take the world, and like just the look on his face of like, oh, so that's my purpose, got it. And it's just kind of matter of fact of like, oh,
I figured it out. Cool.
now I'm here. Cool.
All
right, yeah, I'll get started.
Time to murder everybody.
I guess if you view this movie as like pre-puberty, like this is all hormones driving you nuts, like this movie's deeper.
Oh man, when he hits 18 and like those start wearing off, he's gonna feel real bad.
Oh, he's gonna feel awful.
World's worst come down.
Oh, that's a dad and a gross joke. Good job, John.
Yeah, I'm burning bright.
And now you missed.
Yeah, now we're reaching.
Like this movie.
And it came back around.
My favorite quote is, I didn't write it down, of course. When Badger, I just keep calling him Badger,
He's so memorable as Badger.
sees Brandon in his closet. He's like, "What are you doing?" Look, I just love
Take
that.
off that creepy mask.
I just like that response. It's not like an immediate, like, what the fuck are you doing here? Which I would have done. It's the, what are you doing? Get out of here. I'm taking you home to your parents.
That'd be like the equivalent of us opening the closet and finding John's daughter. Like, what the hell are you doing here?
And us just going, well, we're taking you home to your parents.
God, if that ever happens and Karina kills me, John, I'm gonna be so mad at you.
I would have so many more questions for Karina than I guess I'm just driving
I'm
you
going to have
home.
some questions too. Also, I'm going to be looking for her crashed ship to try and figure out what's going on. But I love the kid's response to him in that scene too. He's just like, yeah, she was helping me with the homework. This is normal. Like his whole like, this is normal
That
act
whole
was
sequence is like, I feel like this isn't how it would really go down. But you guys are both really cool with it.
I feel like I'd say that about most of this movie. I don't think this is how this would really go down. John, was that your quote, or do you have a different one?
No, I've got a different one. It's
Okay.
at the very end when the reporter's doing their whole spiel. You know, breaking news at the hour. A passenger jet has crashed into the small town of Brightburn, Kansas. Details are still coming in, but there are believed to be no survivors. Investigators are not yet sure what caused the plane to drop suddenly. And then juxtaposed on that is the scene of the kid in the ambulance, the only survivor of that location crash, eating a cookie. And I feel like someone with a couple brain cells rubbing together would be like, "Are you the one who did this?"
But he's a kid.
He's a kid. How would he bring down a
Kid's never
plane?
going to-
Like, I would still
Right,
be
but, like,
super
he's the
suspicious of that really calm kid who just had his parents die while a plane crashed into his house, and he's just kind of like, whatever, man, I got a cookie. I'd be worried about that kid, but I don't think I'd blame him for the crash.
But he survived, like, the crash. Like, things just don't add up.
No.
So I love that.
No.
So did Jake Gyllenhaal, except he didn't. He did end up dying.
He did end up dying. All right, review system for today. This one's going to be a little tough, but I think both of you can do it. If this was a comic book, and you wanted to get it rated by the GCG, or CGC? GCG? I always forget.
I don't know.
Official
CBGB.
CBGB.
That's a bar.
The official comic grading people. What would you grade it? It's kind of a numbers game. I understand that. But you can also describe the condition of the book. Why did it get that score?
I would rate this kind of like that episode of Venture Brothers, where it starts out at 100. But then as you go and you realize they're not really going to do much with it, the number keeps ticking down.
That episode of the Venture Brothers is in my top 5 favorite of all time.
Yes.
It's a pretty great episode.
It's a great episode. That's a fair review.
I think it would end up being about 60%.
Okay.
60.
6-0.
Like, it's more than... Cause there are enough things in it where I wouldn't give it a 50. It's definitely got a passing grade for me.
Okay. Mine's going to be a lot lower, but I can defend it. So I'm going to give it, like, if you found a trashed version of Action Comics #1. Like, just unreadable, images have faded, none of the words are there, but it's still a first edition of Action Comics #1. You'd still get that graded. It'd probably rate at, like, a 1.2 or a 1.3, really low, but still worth a lot of money because it's Action Comics #1.
How does it get... I don't remember how is it out of 10?
Out of 10, yeah.
Oh, well then I guess I have a 6, not a 6.
I know what you meant. 6.0, 6.0, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go like a 1.2 to like 1.8, but of something amazing, so people would still want it. So it's like a version of something really cool.
Yeah.
John, last but not least.
So this grading system is out of 10, you said?
Yeah.
I would say this is that copy of a valuable comic that, through ignorance, you opened it, devaluing it. So maybe about a 4.
Okay.
It was once a 10. Like, this was this idea was like, oh, this is gonna be great, as long as no one opens it. And then here someone's ass just comes along and just opens it. It's like, oh, okay, now it's a 4, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
Yeah.
I gave this the highest rating.
I know
But
about comics.
It ended really, but yours was sliding too.
Yeah.
And John doesn't really read comics, so.
I know.
I didn't really like the end.
Wow, that guy really doesn't read comics, does he? Ooh.
He was totally... The way he menaced his mom by just flying through and through and through the house. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah, I loved that sequence. So that brings today's episode to a close. Completed, I guess. That's the way I'll say it. We did it. We've done it.
Yeah,
We'll
we
never
did.
do it again.
We survived.
We
might.
survived.
We survived Brightburn. Barely.
It's really too bad. I was really hoping
If
for...
they make a sequel, I'll see it.
I will absolutely rent it. I'm not going to the theater for it.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I really had high hopes for this one, and I was really excited to watch it. And here we are. Oh, well. But next week, we have another movie that I haven't seen, and I'm still excited for, and hopefully it will be a little bit better. Next week is... Oh, my God. How did I just forget? I was just thinking about it.
First Man.
Thank you. First Man. Damien Chazelle. Ryan Gosling. First Man in Space. First Man on the Moon. First Man on the Moon.
First jazz musician in space.
First jazz man on the moon.
Look at Ryan Gosling with lens flares on his face and being pretty.
But I don't think he's going to have that little hair thing. And if he doesn't have a little hair thing, it's just not going to be as good.
The little hair thing gives him that little hint of disheveledness that just makes him a little extra dashing.
Yeah, I know. He rocks that little hair thing very well. But I don't think he has that in the helmet. But oh well.
Okay. I guess we'll pay attention to the story of the movie, not just his
It's
face.
hard to be dashing in a helmet.
It is. But I'm really excited for this one. I've heard both it was the best movie of last year and it's the absolute worst movie I've ever seen. So I've heard really big extremes on this one. So I'm excited to see what it is.
I heard nothing.
Yeah. It's weird that I heard about this movie very recently.
Wasn't it up for Best Picture? Nominated for something,
The only
Maybe.
reason I knew anything about it is because we had a big billboard for it at work.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. All right, so tune in next week. First Man. This has been Brightburn.
Brightburn.
We burned it out. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to... I'm going to do a very quick round of plugs. Check out all of our shows on the ATH Network, including Venture Bros, Samwise, Demon Days, and Damage Boost. And, of course, After the Hype. Be sure to go to our website, athpod.com, to check out all of our articles and more. Be sure, throughout the entire month of October, every Friday, you get a new chapter of Matt's very detailed, incredibly interesting Stargate article series. Where he is going through the movies, the shows, everything.
The sexuality of James Spader.
I hope that's an entire week, but I'll leave that to Matt.
I requested it.
It's going to be exciting.
No pressure, Matt.
He's so cute in Stargate.
I'll take your word for it. I've only seen the movie. He's in the movie, isn't he?
That's where he
he's
is.
great
He's
in the
not
movie.
in the TV show.
Oh, man. He is good in the movie. I think about Kurt Russell when I think about the movie, though. Kurt Russell is in the movie, right?
Yes,
I have
he
seen
is.
Stargate,
Yes,
haven't I?
you
Jesus,
have.
now I don't know what I'm doing.
We should have just let Brian wonder. The
Wait,
whole
is
time.
he? Have I seen it? I don't
We
know.
need to rewatch Stargate tonight.
Matt is going to be so mad at me. All right, thank you everyone for listening. This is the longest outro ever. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.